If I were to say to you, all you need is love, which television episode do you think of?
All you need, what, like the Beatles, all you need is love?
Yeah.
Which TV episode of... are we still talking sort of genre or sci-fi TV?
We're certainly talking ITC, I think.
Well, you see, because it does crop up, I know, quite prominently in final episode of The Prisoner.
You're absolutely right.
Prisoner. Yeah?
So
okay.
It's The Prisoner.
There you go.
So that song, All You Need Is Love, pops up repeatedly and is quite prominent in that episode of The Prisoner. Now, because it was an ITC show and they had a lot of money to throw about, Lew Grade paid for the rights for that bit of music in perpetuity.
Oh.
So, in other words, that episode could be shown until the end of time without ever having to pay the Beatles another penny for it.
Yes.
And Lew felt very strongly that people would still be watching these shows decades later. That's prophetic, wasn't it?
Yeah.
This is in contrast to how music licensing sometimes went for example, the BBC, who perhaps cleared the rights to play a song for a single broadcast of a particular show, but then had to cut the song for any future repeats or home media releases.
Oh.
There are, as you probably know, several Doctor Who stories, for instance, where a recognisable song has had to be replaced to get the story out on DVD. And some BBC sitcoms where certain episodes have had entire scenes removed because of a copyrighted song. Have you got a particular example in mind?
No, I didn't know that. No, that's come as a surprise to me.
Oh, okay, well there you go.
It makes sense, but never heard of that before.
We always learn things on Fab Facts.
And that brings us to the end of this week's... there's more.
We haven't even got to the actual Fab Facts yet.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
So, this same rule would have likely been in place for episodes of ITC-era Anderson shows that included recognisable pop songs, most notably UFO's use of the Beatles song Get Back in the episode Ordeal.
Ah.
Other recognisable pop tracks heard on Anderson shows include the Spencer Davis Group's Trampoline, also heard in Ordeal. The Equals song My Life Ain't Easy in the UFO episode Survival. Simon and Garfunkel's Scarborough Fair, heard in the
classic.
Protectors episode Quinn.
Yeah.
And the CCS cover version of Led Zeppelin's Whole Lotta Love, heard in the Protectors episode 2000 Feet to Die.
Nice.
Yeah. Now, the latter example is kind of an odd one out here because that piece apparently did run into difficulties and was replaced on later repeats of the VHS release, where they replaced it with a generic disco track. Luckily, though, whatever problem it had was all sorted by the time the series was released on DVD and the track was reinstated.
Oh.
Now, to hear Lew Grade say in 1967 or 1970 or whenever it was that, of course, people are going to be watching UFO and The Prisoner in 50 or 60 years from now, no doubt about it. Well, that probably raised some eyebrows with his contemporaries because, you know...
Yes,
yeah, but
it's a long time.
But he was absolutely right.
Yes.
We are still watching them. Well, I'm not watching The Protectors, but lots of people are still watching them and still enjoying them.
Chris Dale.
Chris Dale is watching The Protectors occasionally, and enjoying some of them. And new generations are constantly discovering the shows too. So we wouldn't have been able to do that as easily if Lew hadn't essentially future-proofed them by throwing money at things like perpetual music rights or... obviously agreeing to spend on shooting lots of them on expensive 35mm film and ensuring that we could enjoy them in HD later on, even though HD wasn't a thing.
I know, amazing.
Yeah. Future-proofing shows for later decades wouldn't have been as much of a priority for him as just selling them for broadcasters, for which securing the music rights would have been an important concern. But even so, he definitely had an eye on the future, which has had a huge impact on how we enjoy these shows today. So thank you, Lew. Good old Lew Grade.
Incredible. Absolutely. Yeah, nice.
Yeah. And of course, as I'm sure you know, in Australia, Kerry Packer bought Thunderbirds in perpetuity from Lew, I think for $1 million.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Which at the time was, that's quite a big spend.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's one of the reasons why Thunderbirds is perpetually enjoyed in Australia, because there are no repeat costs for it.
Great. Interesting. It's rather like those contractual conversations that you had with Benji Clifford about our opening music.
Absolutely.
I mean, was that ever resolved? I know he's getting quite a hefty amount every week.
Oh, yes. Paid in Haribo, I believe. So, yes.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, music rights and all sorts of rights are very, very tricky indeed.
Yeah, I know. I very often, you may know that I've written several plays which are published and performed every now and then. And
I'm very aware.
We get sort of round-robin emails from our publisher, and he's always saying, please don't put songs in your scripts unless you've got clearance from the publishers.
Yes.
Because, that will prohibit them being shown.
And I right in saying that if you include lyrics in a script, they have to be paid for too. But if you include the title of a song, you don't have to pay for it.
Exactly. Yes, titles cannot be copyrighted.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, that's right. Because there are so many books and plays and films that, of course, titles are going to crop up, more than once. But yes, and I think there is the parody law, of course, which you can just about get away with sometimes if you're parodying a song. But other than that, very, very tricky area.
Tricky stuff, yeah.